Alright, what's up guys? I'm an avid herpetologist back with another Digimon TCG deck profile today. Got a real spicy deck for you guys. Now, as a disclaimer, this is not meant to be a competitive deck. This is going to be a very fun, very spicy homebrew for you guys to test out. Don't suggest taking this to any big events, but if you're looking to just have a good time and goof around with some friends at a local event, maybe this is the kind of deck for you. We're going to be looking at a variant of a sort of outdated archetype called Megazoo. Now, for those of you who are not around in the first couple of Digimon formats, Megazoo was basically an archetype that revolved around playing very big, high-impact megas straight from your hand. In the early couple of sets, there were lots of megas that had very powerful on-play effects, so you'd basically be looking to hard drop those past your opponents, lots of memory, and kind of capitalize off of what the value those megas were able to provide. The more recent, updated version that I'm going to be showing you guys today, called Jagazoo, is built around a couple of ultimates that basically make the deck a little bit more memory efficient and really specifically capitalize on the options available for level 6 Green Digimon. Green has got a lot of really good board-controlled megas over the last couple of sets, so we're looking to capitalize on that, and I'll be showing you guys how we plan on doing that. To begin with, as usual, we're going to be talking about our eggs. We're going to be doing things a little bit differently this time, though, as we're going to be talking about our eggs and rookies simultaneously, as you really can't use one without the other. So we're going to be playing 4 copies of yellow Upamon and 4 copies of yellow BT2 Salamon. Now, Megazoo is kind of an unnatural archetype, very similar to Machinedramon, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the similarities between the two. Like I said, you're going to be hard playing megas as the main game plan that you're going with. So you're not going to use your eggs very often. You're not really looking to build stacks. So basically, you just want to have utility in your egg slots, and your rookie slots. So the set that I've decided to run, Upamon and Salamon, are basically there as kind of defensive options. Now, plenty of Megazoo builds in the past have run blue bases with jamming Vmon and the Demi Vmon that allows you to draw a card when it attacks. I've chosen to go for this just because it's actually not that uncommon. These are kind of like the primary 2 rookie packages that you'll typically see Megazoo decks run. Now, Upamon and Salamon have very similar effects that play under the same circumstances. This is kind of a weird deck where you're basically going to want to Digivolve Salamon in Raising and kind of leave it there until it's needed. So the effects are, for Upamon, when attacking once per turn, if you have 3 or fewer security cards, trigger draw 1. So basically, you want to wait until your opponent has chipped away 2 of your security and then get your benefits off of that. Salamon, on the other hand, is on deletion. If you have 3 or fewer security, recover 1. So basically, Salamon and Upamon, when you do happen to get down to 3 memory, if your opponent hasn't killed you by that point, but we're going to be trying to make sure that they can't kill you all in one shot. We'll get to that. Basically, we want to make sure that we've got a nice little value engine that lets us draw a free card and then recover back after that more than likely gets deleted. Salamon's job is basically to swing into security, die instantly, and then get you to recovery, your draw 1. Very simple, pretty straightforward. Now, we are playing 3, and only 3, champions, level 4s in this deck, and that is going to be 3 copies of Tortomon. Tortomon's a pretty cool card. It has 4 to play, 4,000 DP, and 2 to Digivolve. Digivolve doesn't matter. We're not playing any green level 3s. He is basically just going to be hard played for 4, which is ideally going to be the lowest amount that we're going to be hard playing for. Tortomon is only here for its inheritable, which is, when attacking, you may reveal a green Digimon card from your hand, place it on top of your deck to have this Digimon gain 3,000 DP for the turn. The 3,000 DP gain is mostly just gravy. We are really here for that effect to put a green Digimon from our hand on top of our library. I know that seems counterintuitive. It is strict card disadvantage, but you're going to see why that's important right now, because the main reason this deck has been built is going to be around its level 5 package. Specifically, the 2 cards it is strongly built around are going to be all 4 copies of MameTyramon and 3 copies of Jagamon. Now, Jagamon, even though the deck is kind of named after it, it's more named after Jagamon because it was the first one to come, and also because Jagamon is, well, it's a potato, and potatoes are cool. There's really no other reason. MameTyramon's kind of a mouthful, so I named the deck after Jagamon. Now, both of these cards are very similar. They do have different stat spreads, 5 to play, 5,000 DP, versus 7 to play and 7,000 DP. They are both 3 to Digivolve, but the reason you play these, and it's kind of the functional idea that the deck is built around, is both of the effects that they have on attacking, identical. It says, when attacking, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. You may then Digivolve this Digimon into a green level 6 card among them without paying its memory cost. Place the remaining on the bottom of the deck in any order. Now this basically just means that you will be able to hard play these for 5 or 7, or evo them onto Tortomon. When you attack, you then get to look at your top 3, and any green megas that happen to be hiding there, you can Digivolve into for free. This is going to be where a lot of the deck's value comes from. Even though this is a goofy deck, obviously the goal is still to win the game. So we want to be able to get big bodies into play that have impactful in-play effects for super, super cheap, and this is how we're going to be doing it. We have 3 copies of Jagamon, 4 copies of MameTyramon with that exact same effect, so we're going to be able to hopefully see these pretty often, swing, and get something for free off of the top. That's where the Tortomon effect comes into play, where once we've drawn some of our really powerful green level 6s, which is almost guaranteed to happen, we can then pick the one that we would like to Digivolve into, put it on top, and guarantee a particular hit. Only playing 3 copies of Tortomon just because we're not playing too many level 5s, and it doesn't really do a whole lot if you don't Digivolve onto it. So that's going to be the reasoning for those ratios. I am only playing 3 copies of Jagamon instead of 4, just because it is 7 to play, which is a little expensive considering it doesn't actually do anything the turn it comes in. So I have 4 copies of the 2 memory cheaper MameTyramon, 3 copies of Jagamon, and we actually are playing 3 other level 5s in this deck, and that's going to be 3 copies of SkullScorpiomon. Now, SkullScorpiomon is also 5 to play, has 6,000 DP, and is only 2 to Digivolve. He's a vanilla, meaning he has no effects, no inheritables. He's basically just here to be a cheap, green, level 5 body to play that can Digivolve for 2 onto our Tortomons if we decide to go that route. Now, we do have a Tamer in this deck that actually mimics the effects that our other level 5s have, so he will ideally be able to still do the free lottery Digivolve off the top of the library. But so he's basically in here to give us more level 5 bodies that we can play without having to hard play megas every single turn. Because even though we are going to be okay doing that for some turns, obviously we're not going to want to do that every single turn. There is actually another level 5 that I have played in the deck before called Tortomon, who is also 5 to play, 6,000 DP. It is 3 to Digivolve, and comes with an inheritable to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon with 5,000 DP or less when attacking. Now, the reason that I ended up swapping out of Tortomon and into SkullScorpiomon is basically for that just 1 memory cheaper Digivolution cost. We are going to be passing a lot of memory, but if we can avoid passing even a couple of memory, that could potentially be the difference between a win and a loss. So basically, the inheritable didn't really seem worth it just to have an extra Digivolution cost, so we went with the cheaper SkullScorpiomon. And that'll do it for our level 5s. Now moving on to the bread and butter. This is going to be the spinal cord, the backbone, whatever you want to call it. This is the centerpiece the deck is really functioning around, and this is where we're going to have some fun. That's going to be our level 6s, and we are playing a lot of them. To begin with, in my opinion, most powerful level 6 that we are playing is 4 copies of AncientTroymon. Now this is going to be the card that will hopefully keep us alive long enough to actually do things during the game. We are basically hoping that their opponent is not going to be able to cheaply remove a lot of our big threats as we're playing them. AncientTroymon is 13 to hard play, which is a lot, but you're going to do that some games. It's just how it's going to be. It has 13,000 DP, 5 to Digivolve, and has a couple of effects. The on-deletion effect isn't really important, so we're not going to worry about that. Its more important effect is on the opponent's turn. When an opponent's Digimon attacks, suspend up to 2 of their Digimon that do not have blocker, which basically means if they have an established board or want to try to swing in with multiple things at once, and they have multiple bodies, the first time they swing or every time they swing, you get to spend any 2 things that you want off of their board as long as those bodies don't have blocker. This is going to severely hamper your opponent's ability to play right into your security. So while you're passing them all of this memory, they still have to find ways to play around some of these more pesky in-play effects that your green megas have. So AncientTroymon is going to be our primary source of board control. He's basically going to be there to make sure that we are not dying instantly to a big board state. Next up is going to be 3 copies of Ebonwumon. Now, Ebonwumon is another really cool Digimon, one of the Digimon Sovereigns. It is also 13 to play, also 13,000 DP, and also 5 to Digivolve. However, this Digimon has an when Digivolving effect that suspends one of your opponent's Digimon and then gains you a memory for each of your opponent's suspended Digimon. What that means is, if you choose to hard Digivolve him into something that's in play, you will gain memory back for every suspended Digimon they have after suspending something, so you're guaranteed at least one, assuming they have something in play. But the real cool interaction is if you were to swing in with your Mames or your Jagas, you then could potentially Digivolve into this. Even though you're not paying the Digivolution cost, it is still a Digivolve, so you get to suspend something and then just gain free memory, which makes hard-playing Megas more appealing. This is where some of the synergies are starting to come into play, and you might be seeing why this deck can be very fun to pilot. So I don't know if you guys can hear the banging. I have a tortoise who's making a ruckus over here. I apologize if you can hear him. So after Ebonwumon, we are going to be playing 3 copies of, I think what might be my favorite card in the deck, just aesthetically, is going to be 3 copies of the new BT9 Dinorexmon. This is a really cool card. So this is another 13 to play, 13,000 DP. Has a when Digivolving, for each of your opponent's Tamers in play, you can suspend any of their Digimon, and again, gain a memory for each one of that triggers, basically. So for each Tamer, if you suspend something, gain memory. So just very similar to Ebonwumon, it's potentially a free gain memory when you Digivolve into it off of MameTyramon. But it has another very cool effect. That effect is all turns, once per turn, when an opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less becomes suspended, delete one of those Digimon. So basically, it helps to clear the board and helps, again, to make sure that your opponent cannot just start chipping in with small damage that's low to the ground. They can't just swing rookies into your security, because if they try to do that, the first one they try every single turn is going to get popped. So again, I think this is a really cool card for helping with board control. I apologize, I did forget to talk about Ebonwumon's other effect, which is relevant. You might notice already a theme here, where we're doing a lot of suspending of the opponent's Digimon. That is the way that we like to control the board, is by making sure we can suspend their stuff down. Now, Ebonwumon's effect is on the opponent's turn. All of your opponent's Digimon gain on your opponent's turn. You must trash a card from your hand in order to unsuspend the Digimon, which means at the start of your turn, when your Digimon would restand, you basically can't do that unless you are discarding cards from your hand. That can add up real quick. Now, there's plenty of good ways nowadays to establish high draw power and things like that to make sure you've got plenty of cards to discard for Ebonwumon, but that tax can still add up very quickly, especially if you have more than one of these guys in play where you have to discard 2 cards from your hand just to unsuspend a single Digimon every single turn. So that's basically the idea that we're going with is, like I said, we're trying to control the board, lock it down as best we can. Now, our next Digimon is going to be 2 copies of Lotusmon. Now, Lotusmon is finally going to break our 13 to play, 13,000 DP mold here. This one is cheaper at only 11 memory to play, 12,000 DP, and 4 to Digivolve. Has a very simple turn where on all turns, if your opponent plays a level 4 or lower Digimon, suspend it. This again is going to help make sure that we control the board state. We want to make sure that our opponents are not able to establish a wide board that can just swing through us. So if they decide to play any Digimon tutors, anything that is going to help bring cards out of their hand, anything they're going to want to be just hard playing, you'll suspend those Digimon immediately, and now they are vulnerable to your attacks on the next turn. This will also help trigger some of our Tamers who are going to be benefiting from having Digimon in play that are suspended on your opponent's board. So Lotusmon, we're playing 2 copies of a nice little board control tool there. Now, another one of our green level 6s, one of our last that we really want to be digivolving into off of the top, is a bit self-indulgent, admittedly, but I think this card is super cool, especially in the shell, and that is going to be 1 copy of Secret Rare Imperialdramon Dragon Mode from BT3. Now, Dragon Mode is, again, a pretty neat card with some cool effects. It is 13 to play, 12,000 DP, again, 5 to Digivolve. Has Piercing, which means if you would destroy one of your opponent's Digimon in battle, you can then still continue to check your opponent's security, so it's good for aggression. And on your turn, once per turn, when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle and survives, unsuspend it. Which basically means that you can swing into something, pierce through, you've deleted the Digimon, broken a security shield, and then you unsuspend and you get to do it all over again. Really good for accruing some early aggression, or really aggression at any point during the game. It's a super cool card. If you do happen to have a Tortomon underneath it, which would be ideal, a stack being Tortomon into MameTyramon, attack, put Imperialdramon on top so you know it's coming, make it 15,000. Now that 15,000 can swing over pretty much anything your opponent has, and get those security checks while hopefully surviving. So a super cool card. Is really not necessary. It could easily be more copies of Lotusmon or any of the other cards in the deck. I'm playing it because I really like this card, especially this beautiful alternate art. But again, this is a deck that we're looking to have some fun with, so I decided to go with a single copy of Dragon Mode. Now our next card we're going to talk about, now we're going to be getting into the Digimon we want to be hard playing from our hands. And we're going to have some real old cards here. These are cards from just the first couple of sets of Digimon. Those of you who were big fans of Megazoo back in the day, you're probably going to love seeing this because we are playing a lot of familiar faces. To begin with, since we do still have technically one more green, level 6, is going to be 3 copies of BT2 Puppetmon. If you haven't seen this card in a long time, I don't blame you. It's very much out of favor. It's really not as good as it used to be, but this card, in the first couple of sets, was actually a bit of a bomb that could actually win you the game on the spot. And we are trying to do exactly that in this game as well. So Puppetmon is 11 to play, only 10,000 DP, a little low for a Mega, but it's only 3 to Digivolve. It has a when attacking effect that gains you a memory. Neat little icing there, but the real reason you're playing Puppetmon is it has an on-play effect. Again, we don't see too many Megas these days that have on-plays, but his on-play is pretty stellar. When he enters play, if you play it directly from your hand for that 11 cost, you can then suspend one of your opponent's Digimon and make sure that all of your opponent's Digimon do not unsuspend on their next turn. That basically means you get to freeze the board for an entire turn cycle. You might be passing them a lot of memory. There's a good chance they're not going to be able to actually do anything to you during that turn cycle unless they have something coming out of the raising area. Puppetmon is phenomenal for stalling the board for that one extra turn you need to actually finish the game. Beautiful, beautiful piece of board control. We are absolutely going to be playing 3. I think you could probably get away with playing a full 4 copies of Puppetmon. That might be a little excessive. I'm honestly not sure. You could maybe just swap out the Imperialdramon Dragon Mode for another copy of Puppet if you want to. But the build that I'm currently running, I'm running 3 copies. Next, we're going to be running 3 copies of another Dark Master from the original couple of Digimon sets, and that is going to be 3 copies of Machinedramon from BT2. Yes, there are 3 different artworks on the field. I think this card has some of the most beautiful artwork in the whole game. As you guys saw in my first couple of videos, I'm a big Machinedramon stan. I love Machinedramon just as a Digimon, and so I wanted to get, since I'm running 3 anyways, one of each of the incredible artworks available for this card. So this card is 12 to play, has 11,000 DP, has Blocker. So this is a great card, again, to help stall the game out, but it also, again, has an on-play effect. The on-play for Machinedramon is when it enters, trigger D-Digivolve 2 on 2 of your opponent's Digimon. That's a big tempo swing. Now, you, again, may be dropping a lot of memory for 12 to bring this guy down, but keep in mind that a lot of that memory is going to have to go into rebuilding those stacks you just Digivolved. It's, again, really good for staging off aggro early on in the game, and then it leaves you with an 11,000 DP blocker, which is well above what I think most Digimon are going to be swinging over with the lower levels. So basically, like, since you are playing this and Digivolving, you're hopefully going to reduce their stacks a little bit. So he's basically there, again, to be a blocker body, but also kind of a stall tactic. So we're going to be playing 3 copies of him. I think that's just about right. I wouldn't say any less, any more. I think 3 is just right. That being said, we are playing 4 copies of our last Mega level 6 here, and that is going to be 4 copies of BT2 Magnadramon. Now this Magnadramon is one of the most important cards in the deck if you want to actually survive long enough to win a game. This is 11 to play, again 10,000 DP, 3 to Digivolve, but we're not playing any yellow level 5, so we're not going to be Digivolving this one. We're just hard playing again. Magnadramon has an on-play effect where if you have 3 or fewer security, recover 2. So very similar to the kind of play that we're going to be looking for with our Salamon package. We basically want to recover our security and stall the game until we are able to control the board enough that we can actually maneuver a win. So Magnadramon is going to be another card that you're going to hold back until your opponent chips out some damage. Hopefully all of our other level 6s and things that we're doing are able to keep the board at least somewhat under control. So if they're chipping, we can then recover 2. remove some of that chip damage and then kind of keep Magnadramon in there, because now we have another Mega Body that we can do things with on the next turn. With that being said, it also does technically have a when attacking effect that can come up, and that is you may play, when attacking, you may play one yellow level 3 Digimon card from your hand without paying its memory cost. So if you have extra copies of Salamon that you want to drop real quick, you can hard play Magnadramon, you can attack with it, and you can play an extra Salamon from your hand if that's something that you decide you want to do. So not really something that comes up a whole lot. It's good for board aggro, I suppose, but that is another option that you'll be able to do. All right, so moving out of our level 6s, we are playing a couple of level 7s in this deck. Not too many. We're only playing 5, just because we do have so many impactful effects that we want to keep around on the field. We're not going to want to go into these super often, but both of the level 7s that we're running, I'm running a 2 and 3 split, are able to digivolve onto our other not green level 6s as well. Specifically, we have 2 copies of Chaosmon and 3 copies of Chaosmon Valdur Arm. You probably knew these were coming. They're really the only level 7s. I think maybe there are some other level 7s, nothing off the top of my head. These are the good level 7s you're going to want to be playing that are able to digivolve off of green at this point in time. So Chaosmon, original Chaosmon, is 6 to digivolve on a green or a black, so it can be any green or our Machinedramons. Has piercing, so again, when you delete something and survive, you can check security. Has 14,000 DP, and a when digivolving effect to unsuspend this Digimon and then get a free automatic attack, basically a blitz attack, on one of your opponent's Digimon, and that attack can be on an unsuspended Digimon. So this is another way to kind of add a little extra aggression if you're looking to try to close the game out on the next turn, where you can try to swing over another one of your opponent's Digimon, keep them from killing you, while also making sure that you pierce through for bonus damage as well. The ability to attack into an unsuspended Digimon is incredibly powerful. If you haven't played against BT8 Middle Greymon yet, good for you. It's very annoying to play against. This effect is super good. And we also have Chaosmon Valdur Arm, also 6 to digivolve from a green or a yellow, so it can go on top of a Magnadramon once it's been used. 14,000 DP as well. When digivolving, you can activate the following effect twice. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 7,000 DP for the turn, which basically means you can do minus 7,000 to 2 different things or minus 14,000 to 1 thing. This is going to, again, board control. You're going to be killing off bodies in order to stop your opponent from killing you before you can end the game. It also has an on-deletion effect that just inherently gains you 3 memory, so little extra gravy. You really don't need it for that. It's a phenomenal effect to be sure, but it's going to be the on-deletion effect that when digivolving deletion effect that is really going to be important for this. Last but not least, we only have 5 cards left in the deck. They are all going to be Tamers. We are playing 5. We are playing a full playset of Izzy, Izumi, and Mimi Tachikawa. So this is the Tamer that is actually going to add extra effects for our MameTyramon, Jagamon, and gives the effect to SkullScorpiomon. Has the effect 4 to play. Start of your turn, if your opponent has a suspended Digimon, gain 2 memory. So it's not a memory setter. It does not set your memory to 3. Instead, for every one of these you have in play, if your opponent has a suspended Digimon, which we are trying to cause to happen consistently, you get to gain a free 2 memory. So again, playing all of these big mega bodies, not going to pass nearly as much as you might expect sometimes. It also has the effect where on your turn, when you attack with a level 5 green Digimon, suspend this Tamer to reveal 3 cards from the top of your deck. You may reveal a green level 6 Digimon and digivolve it onto that Digimon without paying its memory cost. It is literally, again, the exact same effect as MameTyramon and Jagamon. But the cool thing about this card, first of all, it does allow for your SkullScorpiomons to basically have that same effect while also being a memory provider. But if you do have a MameTyramon in play, let's say that you have one and you swing, you reveal your top 3, and either you don't hit a level 6 green Digimon, which can happen, we're playing plenty, but it can still happen. You can then suspend this to check another 3. And if you have 2, then you can check another 3. So basically you can dig for bodies that you specifically want, which is super cool. And then the last card we are playing, I wanted to play a single memory setter, and the memory setter that I have gone with is actually the new BT9, oh goodness, Kiyoshiro Higashimitarai. Butchered that, but that's okay. You guys know the card I'm talking about. So this is 4 to play. It's actually a blue Tamer. It's irrelevant. We don't really care because we're not playing options. But it sets your memory to 3 start of your turn. And if you would attack with a Digimon with Jellymon or a Digimon that is level 5 or higher, if you have 7 or fewer cards in hand, suspend this Tamer to draw a card. So basically, it's going to set your memory every turn that it comes into play, or every start of your turn, and then it's also extra draw power to help you find specific mega level bodies that you're going to want to use to actually further your game and try to close the game out. So being able to draw extra cards is important in any deck, so that's the Tamer that I decided to go with here. And yeah, with that, guys, that is going to do it for another Digimon Deck Profile. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know this one's a little bit goofier than some of the other ones I've posted, but as someone who has actually piloted this deck, it is immensely fun. If you are just looking for a fun, pretty cheap deck that you want to try out at your next locals, by all means, net deck me. You are more than welcome to use this. It is super fun. It's super cheap. And yeah, thank you all so much for joining me once again. I'm an avid herpetologist. I want to thank everyone, as always, for the incredible support you guys have given me. Never thought I would make it over 100 subscribers. I am absolutely humbled. Thank you guys all so much. Have a great rest of your night, and I will see you guys next time.